possible way. So let's get started, shall we? By the way, my name is Marcus Semne, and I'm the CEO and founder of the company Hoodin, who is behind the nowadays well-known product or software Compliance Studio. I will show you that a little bit, and just as a good example on how we address the issue with updates according to what is required. So let's take these 4 quite recent updates. The EU AI Act, the Omnibus Agreement, came out during this month. We have the FDA cybersecurity expectations, also came out this month in May. And we have MHRI device rule consultation, which is really, really interesting. And then we have, I'm in the way here now, but then we have from PMD, from Japan, the PMD Act updates as well. So first of all, 4 heavy amongst many regulatory updates during the month of May 2026. So the question is, what are they? These are some kind of signals, right? What happens when we retrieve these signals into our system, our governed system of regulations for our product and for our company? So first of all, you need to get hold of them, right? So these are 4 examples, and let's stick with them for now because they are actual and they are recent, which is a rather common thing regarding regulatory update. That matters. All right. So first of all, you need to get hold of them and make sure that you get them in a timely manner. But what happens afterwards is way more important. So let's take a look at what it looks like often today. I need to move myself over here. Maybe I can shrink myself a little bit. Oh yeah, I'm a tiny guy. So now this is what it looks like in practice. Again, I've interviewed some 400 regulatory professionals in various sizes of teams, and this is pretty much the picture that everyone tells me. So, a regulatory update, how do you get that knowledge? How do you get that signal? Well, there are so many different ways, and what happens later on. So, in this slide, I have something in the middle that calls the regulatory position. That's your center of gravity, right? You need to defend your regulatory position for various reasons. We will not go into that today. I think you know why. But then we have everything that affects that. And that could be either a redesign in the product, or it could be a change in the operations for the company and so forth. So that's are the internal drivers that changes your regulatory position, or that you enter a new market. But what happens when you enter a new market is that it's just a new set of regulations that becomes applicable upon your product or company. Now, then what's in your regulations register changes. There are updates, there are amendments, there are drafts coming up, there are proposals, and so forth. All of it has potential impact upon your compliance situation. And how does it work? So the way it gets distributed and stored is that you have okay, so some text first. Regulatory updates are covered, usually, yes, but they are distributed. They are implicit, and they are dependent upon context. And it goes from a spreadsheet to a document, from a document to a folder, but from a team member, because the responsibility might be a little bit unevenly distributed, whoever gets heard of it grabs it, right, and stores that into a document. That, again, goes into a folder or a spreadsheet. Then we have the local distributors who are really good at what's going on in Italy, or in Belgium, or in South Africa, and they help out. So they have some sort of access, either through a team member or directly into a document or a folder. And you have emails coming in from legal authorities, maybe because you subscribe upon their newsletters, and then you have some RSS feeds, maybe. You participate in some webinars. Was that a question? Or if not, please unmute yourself, because it was a really heavy reverb. on that. Okay, and what else? Yeah, you might hire some consultants that performs regulatory intelligence on behalf of you. And you have RSS feed that actually goes to the local distributor. Worst case, it is the same RSS feed or the same email that they subscribe to, and you have duplicates recorded in your documents and in your folders. And then all of a sudden, some team member, maybe it's a collab or it's someone that is appointed for it, takes all this knowledge and this gigantic hairball of information going back and forward and try to get some order into the regulatory position documentation. It doesn't have to be like this. And honestly, this is a risk. But this is what it looks like at most companies. And this is best practice at the moment. And it's just a mess. Probably some of you have better designs. Probably some of you recognize yourselves. Doesn't matter. The intentions are good. I understand that, but it can be sold better. So if we look at this, and this is often also something that I realize when I talk to regulatory professionals, that you easily become narrow-minded upon MDR and IVDR because they are two big animals that needs to be treated carefully. But if you look at, and the reason why I call this the complexity is that, well, it's not enough because you have Cyber Resilience Act, you have the AI Act, you have GDPR, you have EHDS, REACH, Machinery Regulation, ROACH, V Directive, POPs Regulation, PED Regulation, European Accessibility Act, and so forth. And this is just a snapshot of the orbiting regulations that also is applicable upon your product and your company. And then this is just the European Union. Then you have all the local markets and the other markets where you sell your product. And this is no big news for you. But I think we should be honest with ourselves that if we take the previous picture where we have this undistributed structure of information flowing back and forward regarding regulations, regulatory updates, and then we have this en masse of regulations that are applicable to us on several markets. It just multiplies into a number that says, "Hey, this is this is hard to handle," and we all know that it's a tough one, and that's why we're here today, because we want to solve this more properly to mitigate risks. Okay, so it's a tough world out there. It gets operational overload. That's what happens. So if we look at this example, what it actually impacts, if we look more on an operational structure, is that it strikes over products, markets, claims, technical file, risk assessments, procedures, suppliers, departments, and previous rationale that needs to be updated. So each of those signals, just this one, MHRA device rules consultation. Now we're outside the European Union, so there's a new set of layer and regulatory context for the UK market, of course. Well, besides Ireland, because Ireland is both UK and European Union. There is a special European Union regulation for Ireland. I bet you know that. But that means that the effect that one signal, one change has is potentially huge. First of all, we have to recognize the change. Secondly, we have to decide whether this has impact or not. If it does have impact, then we need to see where it strikes through in the organization and in our processes and what documents that needs to be updated. And that is the entire regulatory position, and that is spread across markets. So it's a tough one. We know about that, but what you're all waiting for is really to see, okay, how should I manage this in a smoother way? So regulatory change assessment, and well, before we go into that, why should we do this? I think compliance is a good answer, right? But we need to break that down and see, okay, what does it really mean? There's no regulation that really says that you need to be up to date all the time directly, but indirectly it does say that read MDR Article 10 or IVD Article 10 and make an interpretation thinking about what I just showed you, and think about Article 10 in MDR and IVDR. And I think you agree with me that having a defendable regulatory position with regulations register, with all the updates handled, and with a good traceability upon who does what by when, and so on, is required. And you also see that in lifecycle obligations, you see that in the PMS responsibilities, state-of-the-art expectations, not to mention notified body scrutiny. They like to know that you know what you're talking about, to simplify a little bit. And then we have FDA quality system expectations, which is also in there. You have to know the game you're in, and you have to know the current rule, not the rules that were applied yesterday, to simplify things. And it should be simple, but it's not. So more or less what the requirement says is that, can the reasoning be reconstructed? So why was the change assessed? Well, because we thought it had some implications on our product's regulatory position. So why was no action taken? Well, we realized that it doesn't. What was reassessed, and so forth? Who made the decision? Which rationale was used? So maybe we decided to stick with the current rationale because we decided, well, it has a little bit of an impact, a research thing, but it will not really require us to update the rationale for a specific regulation. The rationale is why it is applicable or non-applicable. I know you know that, but sometimes someone has forgotten, so I mentioned that again. So those are the things that you need to think about as well. So yeah, the big question here, can the reasoning be reconstructed? And all these bullets should be addressed. And looking back on this one, I would say, really? Because then you have to do all of this backwards. Oh, I should have animated this backwards. I didn't. Or I shouldn't said that I didn't, because you wouldn't have remembered. You need to be able to do that pretty much. Where did it come from? Can we validate that the source was correct? Or was this just from a local distributor that just mentioned this and then we took a note in it in the document? Did we store the URL for the update? And who was in that meeting again? So there's so much metadata that needs to be captured and stored in a structural manner that takes so much time. And if you get it wrong, or there are some leakages of information, which quite easily happen when it looks like this, you will run into problem. Okay, so there was one more. How can AI help with this? I think you would say not very much, because you tried maybe use ChatGPT or Gemini or Copilot or whatnot to address this, and you realize that it's not very good at searching, or, well, it could discuss the implications maybe, but it doesn't know that much about my product, and there are loopholes here and there, and maybe it's hallucinating. I don't trust this. And yeah, that's the problem. Generic AI is just a generic tool. And what we all know about generic tools, such as Swiss Army knife, is that they are usually not very good at anything, or they're generically good at everything. But when it comes to maintaining a defensible regulatory position, I wouldn't say that generic AI would do much help for you. Maybe some. Maybe for your, internal information, when you like to compile an email and so forth, but not more than so. So what happens is that you have disconnected prompts, right? You ask one thing, and the AI doesn't really understand the context, and it starts to drift. And you have isolated outputs. It didn't address exactly what you wanted, so you need to start over again. So, and that the main problem here is no maintained context. It doesn't know everything about your product. It doesn't know everything about the market and the regulations, which makes it very hard to reason about this. And certainly difficulty in traceability. because it would be really annoying for an auditor to read through a discussion with an AI you had with some 80 prompts where you had some swearing words in the middle because it started to talk about something else. No, you wouldn't use that. So it's no good, really. It has the powers, but it's not tamed for it. Now, then there's something new on the horizon, which is called vertical AI. And what vertical AI is, I will not get too techie here, but think of an AI that has a very specific task and only that task. It cannot help you with everything. In fact, if you try to ask it for something outside that vertical, it will go like, I don't know. Which is rare for AI, or it would at least say, I will not assist you with that because it's out of my jurisdiction. And these beasts, they are different because they can maintain a regulatory context. They can have applicability reasoning. They can see a linked scope. They can reassess continuity, and they can understand the governance structure that is unique for you, which I can assure you that a generic AI cannot. I bet you all tried. So this is something very different from a generic AI, though it uses a lot of the same kind of techniques and tools behind it. And I will not make this a demo, but I would like to show you how you can solve this when it comes to regulatory updates in a structured way. Because as I just said, it's just not about knowing that BfArM just came with and that you subscribe on the BfArM newsletter, and then you have to read that and see whether something might have an impact, and then you have a meeting to discuss that, and so forth and so forth. You shouldn't have to do that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a look at the Compliance Studio, because the structure here, you might have a sufficient system, but you just lack some structure, then feel free, borrow from how we solved it. No problem with that. But I think it will be cheaper and more efficient and also less risk just using the compliance tool. And by the way, it's free to use for one regulatory profile, which is one product for now. There are some limitations in the freemium version, but I can assure you that we will gain a lot of benefit from it. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to see if I can lift this in, and I will stay in the behind. Yeah, looked like that. It worked. All right, so this is the view. I'm gonna make this really quick now because I see time is flying, and of course you should have time for questions as well. I'm gonna add a product. So the very first thing you do, I was a little bit faster now. I'm gonna get back here. So here's the Studio Agent, which is your reasoning pal. That will know everything about your product or your company. Right now, this project is empty. There are no regulatory profiles. And again, this is just like talking to a human being. If you start to talk to someone you have never met, and that person has no whatsoever history about you or the topic you choose to talk about, the dialogue will get kind of lame. So we need to train this Studio Agent a little bit. So I'm just gonna take this great product, which is an insulin pump. Insulet Corporation. It's a medical device, and I'm gonna start adding some attributes. I can start to talk with its Studio Agent about my product now because it knows a lot about this. I need a short intended purpose. And that will help me because the next thing that I'm gonna do is to add attributes. But I need to talk to this one first. Okay. It doesn't know too much. Yeah, never mind. So it needs to know that. It doesn't dare to guess about my product without this. So it's an insulin pump for diabetes 1 and 2. That's the very, very short version. But I do this to speed things up. And then I need to provide the AI and this project with some attributes regarding my product. So it's a legacy product, that's correct. And that's also correct. And I'm gonna go do this very fast. Whoops, it's for lay users. And no. Yeah. Nope. Nope. The AI can help me here, but it contains a battery, RF wireless, it has a user face, software, yes, electrical, yes, process personal data, yes, uses artificial intelligence, yeah, the next version will, so I'm gonna add this in here, and also software, no gases, has a packaging, yes, and that's it. Here's my profile. Now I'll add a market to build my regulatory position, and I'll just add. Now it will think a little bit regarding this, and what it does is that it takes all these attributes, learns everything it can about Omnipod DASH as a product manufactured by Insulet, and build that up to an engine that will be very useful from now on, because now I can start talking with the Studio agent like this. But we're heading for the updates. But first we need to have a regulatory register or regulations register. And these are all the proposals that I was given for the European Union. I can add whatever market I would like to. So in this case, I'm just gonna go through very quickly and add them all. So we have now all the applicable ones, non-applicable, and you know why that should be here, because it's defendable. Then there are some for further review required, so Cybersecurity Act, eco design, and so on. And here the AI is not 100% sure whether it should be applicable or not, so it would like to have a chat. Okay, let's do that again. Sometimes it's a little bit fast. Okay, so here it comes. And here I get some leading details whether or not this will be applicable or not. But for now, since we're not here to talk about that, we're about to talk about updates and my applicable list that I should verify because now it's active. I decided that yes, this is my regulatory position for the European Union. And now I will have the updates. So having them orderly, one source, one validated source, in this case, it goes for, depending on where the original document was published. And as you see, mainly it goes for EuroLex. If it was for North America or USA, it would be something different. If it would be from UK and so forth, it's different. But in this case, we have everything from EuroLex, more or less, depending on the regulation. And there are quite so many more, 59 updates. Now, what I would like to do, of course, is to know whether does this require any change to my current regulatory position. Now it knows, and you remember the problem with losing context? And here it goes, no changes required to the current regulatory position, and then comes why. So this one is programmed to understand the context of where you're at and what is really the need for you in every position. And you don't have to tell the AI again, yeah, remember it's Omnipod DASH by Insulet, and this is my intended purpose, and this is the risk class and so on, because that's always in here. And that's something that the AI knows all the time, which makes you in a situation where you can go for the versioning. I see exactly what's in here, and whenever I need to, I can make an export, and all the updates are handled. And you can also, of course, take that note out and send over to a colleague if you're uncertain, and you can continue the dialogue here. Of course, it's not a one-way monologue. So if you don't agree, or if you would like to send out the agent to do some search for it or read through a web page, then it's fine to do that. So this is, I really wanted to show you this because I think it will solve so many problems for you. I'm quickly gonna go and change project and show you one that is a little bit more meaty. So here I've added an entire product portfolio, and Eurovision I have several. So if I look into the United States, I have all the ones that are added in here, just like before. And as you see here, some Californian electronically. What does that have to do with it? Well, the thing is here that the AI is programmed to see that if there are no federal regulation for a certain area, it should go find the one state regulation that has the major impact on a certain area. Some states might not have something similar, but they follow California and so on. And so you will see that thread as well. Yeah, and updates would be here as well, same matter. So it will be from FDA if so, and Gov's info. So if you'd like to read the original source, you can always click the link and go read it. And as you see, we read from their API, so we have direct access to their databases, and what kind of regulation it's for, and so forth. Yeah, that's. I'm going to go back to the presentation now and close this. Because I wanted to show you that it is possible to do this in a more safe and relaxed manner. And feel free to go ahead and test the Compliance Studio. It's a freemium version available, and you can explore everything that you just saw. How many of you, thumbs up, will give the Compliance Studio a shot and try in the near future? One hand up. Is that you will give it a try, or do you have a question? Yeah. Oh, two. You do. Yeah. Well, C Falk. I can't see your first name, but it's okay if you only try it once. But if you like to try it twice, you can do so. No problem. It's we have plenty in stock. That's the benefit with software. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that you're gonna that all of you gonna give it a try. And feel free to reach out with your feedback, or if you have any suggestions on challenges that you would like to see being solved within the Compliance Studio. Of course, we aim to address guidances, standards. Of course, we aim to let you have your regulatory papers and documents scrutinized by this superbly trained AI that knows everything about your product and operations. But that comes later. But if you realize something else, feel free to reach out, because you're the ones that help us drive innovation to where it should be. And we're not a squared box. We love to listen because we designed this for you guys. All right, that's all. Thank you so much, and I wish you a happy test drive with the Compliance Studio, and hope to see you guys soon.